Welcome to the 2025 Cascade PBS Ideas Festival podcast. I'm Paris Jackson, the host of the newsfeed on Cascade PBS and the host for this podcast. I'm excited to be back behind the mic to bring you an exclusive listen inside the Cascade PBS Ideas Festival.
Thank you all so much.
And if you're new here, maybe you're wondering, what is this festival all about? It's a one-day event that brings journalists, newsmakers, and innovators from around the country to Seattle to talk about relevant issues through engaging and insightful conversations. I want you to hear from one of the organizers behind the festival, Cascade PBS Events Director, Jake Newman. Hey, Jake, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm good, Paris. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Trying not to hold it down over here. I know you're holding it down in a different way. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So the festival is just around the corner, so we have some new and returning podcast partnerships. What is on tap for this year?
Yeah, we've got some of the favorite podcasts from last year coming back. The Journal from the Wall Street Journal, which I kind of nerded out on a couple years ago. And then I will not take credit for this, but in the course of the last year, it has kind of blown up and turned into one of the most listened politics podcasts, or business and politics. They're coming back, but we're sort of throwing a wrench in it and putting them on stage interviewing Rick Steves. So not political and business in the way you might think.
A little bit of a pivot.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that one. And then CNN is coming back. They did their podcast Tug of War last year, but this year they're coming back and doing more of an interview-style podcast called One Thing. They're going to be interviewing the former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake. So that one's going to be kind of neat.
Yeah.
So those are our quasi-returning friends. And then we've got a bunch of new ones coming too.
What's that new addition?
Yeah, so off the political beat, one of the podcasts that I'm really excited about coming from Vox Media is Criminal, which is one of the longest running true crime podcasts. And they're going to be coming out here and interviewing Amanda Knox, who, lots of folks I think know a lot of things about her, but the criminal take on that conversation, really talking to Amanda about what it's like to be an accused and how even if you're found not guilty, you kind of live the rest of your life guilty anyway, and kind of narrows down the ways that you can live your life. Back on the political front, we've got The Gist coming out.
Oh, that's a good one.
So they're going to be interviewing Jake Tapper, who just put out this book with his co-author, Alex Thompson, about kind of, the second half of the Biden presidency and the decision to run and then drop out. We've got Radiolab coming this year, and Rebecca Lemov, who's a Harvard historian, she is going to be talking about brainwashing, sort of the history of brainwashing over centuries and how brainwashing has been, the science of that has been leveraged to influence power and culture. So that intersection of just pure science, history, but then, obviously some nods to what's happening today. And then I think the last one that I would just highlight is this debate that we're doing with some partners from Open to Debate. This one's really interesting because it's ostensibly about free speech sort of in the Trump era, but that in the Trump world kind of encompasses a lot of things. The speakers that we've got coming, one is Nadine Strawson, who was the first female leader of the ACLU. On the other side of the spectrum, we've got Brandy Cruz, who's a local political commentator who, would self-describe, I think, as very far right-leaning. And then somewhat up the middle is Glenn Greenwald, who's a really famous journalist and author. Just having that gamut of points of view on stage and in a debate forum for us, I'm really excited about it.
So, Jake, there's also going to be a new stage this year with a local focus.
Yeah, we've added a whole new floor for the festival. Up on the 5th floor, did a new stage called the Northwest Report stage, named after our beloved Northwest Reports podcast.
We know them.
Yep, we know those people. So a podcast that we produce here out of Cascade PBS. And the stage will be a series of 4 different interviews all throughout the day. So, 2 that I'm kind of really excited about are the founder of Vanishing Seattle, which is sort of Instagram phenom covering small businesses or sort of iconic Seattle locations that are or are not going by the wayside as the city changes. And so that's a really interesting time capsule conversation. I'm talking to her a bit about, what it's like to do that and where the ideas of that came from. And then one of the other ones that's kind of cool, and they're all so great, it's really hard to pick one, but is the founder of The Needling, which is this like Seattle's version of The Onion. Every day it's just a little bit fun to get our local reality poked fun at a bit. She's hilarious.
Right.
Those are two that I'm really excited about.
So if you want to hear those conversations, you can check out the Northwest Reports feed wherever you find your podcasts. In addition to that, we're bringing this to TV. And of course, we're having this conversation. You can check out the pod. But let's talk about, if you can, they can watch it on TV as well. Yeah,
that's been a big mission. I think something that really like differentiates this event from any other sort of quote unquote festival. Because what you're doing when you come to the festival is watching us record a television show and a podcast.
Right.
So you're in the audience. The cameras are all there. Sometimes we screw up and we have to do a take again. You get to see the moderator turn and read off a teleprompter. And, it's just a little bit different. It's a kind of a neat experience to see that behind the scenes thing. And, the other neat thing about that just is that there's only so many people that can make it one day in downtown Seattle. And, of course, we want as many people as possible to come because it's super fun. But if you can't make it or you live further out, us being able to record these things for television, for podcast, is 10x multiplying how many people get to see it.
Exactly.
We go from 1,500 people in the rooms to hitting over 1 million households. And then we have all these podcast partners from around the country, and they're putting those things up on it. So, our little homespun fest that we're doing for 1,500 people here is suddenly getting, millions of viewers. Yeah. So that's neat.
I love that. Well, I think you've covered a lot of territory. Thank you for joining us, Jake.
Thanks, Paris.
We'll release the full sessions from the festival right here every week, starting June 9th. That's it for today's episode. Thank you, Jake, for the talk. This episode of the Cascade PBS Ideas Festival podcast was produced by Sarah Bernard. The live event was produced by Jake Newman and Ann O'Dowd. You can subscribe to this feed wherever you listen to podcasts. And whatever platform you're listening on, please review us. We'd love to know what you think of the show. The Ideas Festival podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Join the members who help fund Cascade PBS original programs. Your donation will be put to work right away, delivering the lineup of podcasts, video docuseries, and daily in-depth reporting you and so many rely on. In addition to supporting our journalism, members receive great member benefits, including Cascade PBS Passport, which provides extended access to an on-demand library of local and PBS favorites. Go to cascadepbs.org/ideasfestivalpod to sign up today. For the latest political, investigative, and cultural coverage from the Pacific Northwest, visit cascadepbs.org. I'm Paris Jackson. We'll be back next week with a live session featuring former U.S. Senator and comedian Al Franken.